हिंदी वाला है हिंदी బాబు కేవీఎస్ రావు గారిని కూడా అందులో పెట్టగలవా?
ये कार्ड भी चेक चाहिए तब
एक राहुल అది చెప్పండి పూర్తి చెప్పకు ఆయన అలాగే ఉంటుంది కదా అటు తిప్పేశారు. ముందుకు చెప్తే ఆ పక్కన ఉన్న వాడిని ముందుకు ఏం చేస్తే పక్కన ఉన్న వాడిని ముందు కూర్చోబెట్టేసేలాగా ఆ సోఫా ముందు వేసేయి. ఖాళీగా ఉన్నట్టు పక్కనే పక్కనే మనకు అది
ऐसे ज्वाइन हो रहा है शबरी को एक्सेप्ट करना
చాలు చాలు ఇంకా కాలేజ్ చాలు వచ్చి కూర్చోమని ఎదుగుండా కూర్చోమని ఖాళీగా ఉండదని చెప్పి
आज नोएडा से
ఇంకా అక్కర్లేదమ్మా
एक्सेप्ट करो
4 చాలు అక్కడ ఇక్కడ తీసేయండి అది వెనక నుంచి ఎక్కడికి వచ్చి కూర్చోమనండి. వాళ్ళ డబ్బులు ఇక్కడికి ఆ లాస్ట్ లో కూర్చున్న వాళ్ళ ముందు కూర్చో. Hello people on the left side to come and join.
So last line. Hello, everybody last line people है जो लास्ट में बैठे हुए उनको प्लीज सामने आ जाओ. सामने चेयर है.
Not last line, this line. दशरथ जी.
हाँ ये साइड वाले हेलो और ये साइड वाले सामने आ जाओ. आपके लिए चेयर है इधर. यहाँ पे अभी 4 8 चेयर है. 8 लोग आ सकते हैं इधर. फिर गर्मी होगी। या बैठ जाओ उधर।
ओके 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 हाँ
कौन सा ईमेल का मैं अभी बताया मेरा और को आसिम मेरा
बैठो यार अभी तो मत छूटो यार only decoration है and I'll tell you that is the best part मतलब स्टेज में बैठे बड़े ठीक ना बहुत ही बढ़िया बात
बस वीडियो ऑन कर दे सबका एक्सेप्ट कर
हाँ करो कौन सा करिए
वीडियो सबका अपना अपना वीडियो लेकिन पार्टिसिपेट का सब ज्वाइन
वीडियो कैसे करेंगे
ये लोग स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं डेकोरेशन सिस्टम होने के बाद
ज्वाइन के दे दो ना
सबका
दे दो और उनका उनको उनको जो है ना ब्लॉक कर दो बस उनका वीडियो ब्लॉक कर दो म्यूट कर दो उनको सबको एक्सेप्ट कर दो बोल दो सेक्रेटरी सर आगे
Very good morning to all of you. On the occasion of the Global Accessibility Awareness Day, I welcome you all for the national level online webinar on accessibility for persons with disabilities. I welcome our today's chief guest, Shri Rajesh Agarwal Sir, Secretary, DPWD, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. I also welcome our director and all other senior faculty on the dais. I also welcome parents, staff members, and all the student community who are present in the auditorium. So we will start our program with invocation by our special school children. I would invite the special school children to please come forward and present the Vande Mataram song. I would request all of you to please rise for the Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sutaram, Bharatam Sitaram, Shashamar, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Thank you.
All of you please be seated. Now I would like to invite Director Sir, Major B.V. Ramkumar Garu, to please come and give the welcome address.
A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, it's my privilege to once again welcome our respected Secretary DPWD, Shri Rajesh Agarwal sir. Sir, thank you so much for actually taking out your valuable time and gracing this occasion. And it's really a very proud moment for all of us to have you inaugurate this program. I always also welcome all our esteemed speakers of the day and thank them for the valuable time. I'm very sure that we all are looking towards their expert talk. And I also welcome all the participants, parents, students, and even the members from the general public who are joining us through the YouTube. And it's very heartening to see that we have actually about 2,367 participants, CRE professionals, who have actually tried to register for this program. But however, due to constraints, we had to limit only to the authorized number. But notwithstanding, the other participants have all been given the link to the YouTube, and they all are attending towards that. And one important facet of today's online public lecture is, apart from being a CRE lecture, is that we have actually tried to contact a lot of School of Planning and architecture schools across the country, who are all the budding architects who actually would be devising the accessibility features for all the future buildings and all. So we try to involve all of them. We have written to most of the directors of School of Planning and Architectures, and also the JNTU and other very important architectural schools across. So I'm very sure that this will be a very important facet for all the rehabilitation professionals, understanding and updating themselves with the latest policies, acts, and guidelines, and also the best practices what are happening in terms of accessibility for PWDs. But with not taking much time, I thank you once all of you people, and especially our Secretary Sir for kindly gracing this occasion. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. And I would now like to request our Secretary Sir, Shri Rajesh Agarwal sir, to please give the inaugural address.
Good morning, everyone. Global Accessibility Awareness Day is celebrated third Thursday of May every year. So today is third Saturday of May. And this year's global theme is making technology accessible to everyone, because technology affects everyone. People with disabilities, people without disabilities. The dependence on technology and its use in day-to-day life is increasing. Today also is continuation of our experiment of holding CRE webinars and seminars in a hybrid fashion, and including parents, faculty, our personnel and professionals. So combination of all kinds of people, including people from the manufacturing world, the private sector, and those who are eligible for CRE points, they get CRE points. And I am sure all of you would have gone through latest CRE guidelines on our RCA website. So we are allowing 50% points by webinars, and this might be an exception, but webinars will be held on RCA's WebEx platform, and with some random questions thrown in so that people are attentive. Otherwise, at the end of the webinar, you will get a message, thanks for participation, but you did not clear the online exam, so thank you, so you don't get any CRE points. So we are experimenting with that. And in physical seminars also, we will be allowing non-CRE professionals, even parents, or even persons with disabilities who are achievers in their field to come and participate. So that was one. So the CRE handling part. On the accessibility, I will cover two themes. One, what is accessibility, and second is assistive technologies. Our 2015 Act 16 rules also talked about three basic accessibilities. One are who are the Urban Development Ministry guidelines, which basically focus on buildings part. The building should have ramps, the lift should have, it should speak out the floor and so on. And for visually impaired, the tactile tiles and all that stuff. So basically it is physical accessibility of buildings, then the roads, then the parks, and so on. Second was transport accessibility. Now that's very important. Our vehicles, for example, Ola, Uber, only in Bangalore you can actually hail Uber Assist where a wheelchair can go. In no other city of the country at the moment that facility is available. So buses, luckily the smart cities is promoting low floor buses and where the ramp comes out and the wheelchair can go in and so on. The new metros coming up and the Vande Bharat trains coming up. So they are accessible. The railway stations, the signages, the escalators, the lifts, but not really getting entry into the rail coaches. You still have to climb the stairs. So that is becoming accessible. So on the airport side, airports are becoming more accessible. The security guards are being given training to be more sensitive. Sometimes you do read about in the newspaper that security guard asked the prosthetic person with prosthetics to take out the prosthetics, the arms or the artificial legs and so on. So that sensitivity is building up. So inside the airplane, now the standard operating procedures are actually much better. So, and on the boats and ships, we still have a lot of issues. So transport includes all of these. And the third was ICT. Now, information and communication technology. In today's world, that is very important. So right in 2015 rules and act, these three were baked in. They were part of the original act. And all the three ministries, they had issued the basic notifications for those. And we had notified under Rule 15. Now, ICT, after 7 years gap, only 2 weeks back, we have notified the latest notification issued by BIS, Part 1 and Part 2. And they include not only websites and apps to be accessible, and but also gadgets. For example, washing machines, refrigerators. Now you have signs. They are like smart machines. So they cover all the gadgets also. On the websites, basically when we talk of accessibility, primary is that visually impaired, which includes low vision as well as blind. They should be able to use the website, which means if, now just imagine if you are to use even NAPID website and someone is blind, obviously they can't see, so shut down your monitor. They obviously can't see the cursor, take out your mouse. Now try to operate the NAPID website and work on it, or a bank website or any other website. So with just the CPU and the keyboard and the mic and the speaker, so basically monitor is out, mouse is out. So just imagine that's the way you have to work on the websites or the mobile apps or on YouTube. Let us say on YouTube, someone is deaf. So you have to have the captions, and someone is blind. So, okay, you can say for blind person can hear to the YouTube or hear a movie. But there are, let us say in a 3 hours movie, there are 1 hour of dialogue and 2 hours of silence or music, background music goes on. So in Pathan movie judgment, actually Supreme Court has said that during a movie, you should have closed captions. So which the blind people can listen to, that this is the kind of music going on. It's romantic music or aggressive music or something is going to happen, or it's a fearful music and so on. That's very interesting judgment. So these three were primary: the buildings, the transport, and the ICT, which means website, apps, and gadgets. But 2 days back, we have issued a press note also. We are working with 20 ministries for what are called harmonized guidelines. Now, Sports Ministry has already issued a draft notification, which is still to go into Rule 15, about all stadiums being accessible to as PWD athletes as well as to PWD spectators. I&B ministry is supposed to issue such guidelines on movies and OTT platforms and that kind of stuff. So basically every ministry is getting roped in. Tourism ministry is creating guidelines that all our tourist places become accessible. And a tourist place accessible again does not mean a ramp. Now, if someone goes to a temple, what does accessibility mean? Now, temple or religious place or gurdwara or mosque, it is a very spiritual and multi-sensory experience. So if someone is blind, the blind person or the visually impaired person cannot see the image of the god, cannot see what is written on the walls, the shlokas and all, or other religious writings. So you have to have tactile experience. A deaf person or hearing impaired person cannot listen to the arti or the gurdwara shabad or what the priest is saying. So can you have sign language or can you have a monitor which shows what is being spoken? So in Hindi or English or Tamil or whatever. So basically every life experience, the accessibility comes in so that persons with disabilities enjoy every aspect of life. In schools, the education, the accessibility obviously becomes very important. The inclusive education becomes very important. So that is on the accessibility side. Usually accessibility, we say, okay, building में ramp आ गया, tactile tile आ गई, that's the end of it. No, that's not the end of it. That's even 1% part of the whole story. Now, since today's global theme is accessible technology, so the assistive devices become important. WHO latest reports say our census 2011 might have said that 2.2% population has disabilities, but WHO says 5 to 10% people across the globe need assistive technologies. In India, it is estimated that roughly 1/3 children at birth, they have some kind of issue in the disability sector. And the UDID data of 90 lakh does support that theory. That 1/3 are old age related problems. During old age, all of us will develop some kind of issues. And 1/3 are during adulthood. You can get into accident or you can have an infection, take high dosage of steroids. Then sometimes deafness comes out of ear infections or taking too many antibiotics and so on. So 1/3 disabilities are during adulthood, acquired during adulthood. And WHO also says that 1 billion people, 100 crore people across the world, they need assistive devices. And another 1.5 billion people need spectacles. So 1.5 billion people out of 8 billion in the world need spectacles. And 1 billion people need assistive technologies. And the global average is that hardly 10% of the people who need spectacles or other assistive technologies, they get them. Only 10%. That is a global figure. And 3 A's are called to be responsible for this bad situation: awareness, accessibility, and affordability. Now, let us say someone is an amputee. Someone gets into a railway accident, the leg is amputated. I have met people when I go to CRCs and our National Institute and Prosthetic Centers that a 20-year-old boy is coming. So I ask him, कब हुआ एक्सीडेंट? सर 5 साल पहले हुआ. तो क्यों नहीं लगवाया 5 साल में? सर पता ही नहीं था, अब पता चला 2 महीने पहले मैं आ गया आर्टिफिशियल लेग लगवाने. So lack of awareness, it's a very, very big thing. Second is lack of accessibility. Is a prosthetic center or any other assistive technology center close by to where you live, or you have to go 500 kilometers away? So accessibility in this sense means distance or facility from your home. Till 4 months back, we had only 5 fitment centers of LMCO for prosthetics. The beautiful workshops which do absolutely world-class job. Then we asked 5 is too low for 1 billion people or 1.4 billion people. So which results in people getting low cost or actually low quality, I should not say low cost, but low quality prosthetics or simply not getting it because they are not available close to a place. But then we reached out to NIs and CRCs and now we are reaching even to DDRCs. And at the moment we have 20 plus LMCO fitment centers. By December end, we should have 75. So our aim is that no one has to walk or take a transport more than 100 kilometers to avail of these facilities. Similarly, early intervention centers. Now, early intervention is extremely important, whether it's hearing impairment or ID issues. So we have reasonably good early intervention centers in our NIs and CRCs, but that's not enough. So every district at least or bigger talukas should have actually good early intervention centers. Luckily here the southern states are much better than the northern states. And many state governments, they are setting up early intervention centers. Our Central Health Ministry through that Rashtriya Swasthya Yojana is also doing something on it. At many places, Anganwadi workers have been trained to find out issues and then referred to workers or health workers. Work like this has gone on well in Odisha and a few other states. So accessibility is very important. So which means the distance from your home. First was awareness. Second is accessibility. And third is affordability. Because our REDIP scheme also or other state government schemes, they have income limits. Income limits are very low, frankly, which means even the peons or a bus conductor's child or even low middle income families, their children or adults in their family who need attention, and they will be not eligible for our schemes. So affordability is some partially subsidized or highly subsidized or through CSR or again local innovations, made in India products. Are they available? That is the affordability part. So for example, cochlear implant is absolutely unaffordable for even middle class families. And lakhs of children probably in our country need cochlear implants. And state governments, when we put together, probably do 10,000 a year. So, and maybe CSR might be doing another 5,000 a year. So affordability component comes in. So assistive technologies, these three factors, and the WHO figure that 1 billion people need assistive technologies, 10% get it, 1.5 billion people need spectacles, children as well as old age, middle age. So hardly 10% people get it. So these are bad figures and show that lots more need to be done. On this, we are working with a lot of startups in the country, lot of established players in the country for having made in India technologies, even made in India diagnostics. Now, NIPIT has been working on made in India diagnostics. For example, at the moment, we have very outdated Indian-French kind of system where IP is not with us, the BKT Binay Kama test of 60s, or you have basic test, which is Western intelligence test. We actually don't have test designed for Indian intelligence for Indian kids. Sometimes we have tests only in English, many tests. When the faculty, the parents, the kids, they all know only, let us say, Telugu in your case, or Tamil or Bengali or Punjabi or any other language. We don't have tests in that. So if a parent and the child only knows Telugu and you start asking intelligence questions in English or any other diagnostic in English, it will not work for you. It will produce wrong results. So we have to work on all of that also. So diagnostics, the instruments, the made in India gadgets, affordable gadgets, available in every hospital where needed. So can we identify best, not the best, but let us say 50 hotspots of the country where deafness issues are more at childbirth. In those 50 hospitals, at least can we have instruments which can check 2-day, 3-day old babies hearing and then push them into cochlear implants or other surgeries or other kind of therapies. So we have to work on all of this. And when it comes to technologies, there is something called universal design. That's the last point I will make. So universal design helps people across disabilities and everyone. For example, even a thing like a door lock. Let us say if the door lock is like the handle you pull or push. It is bad for a person on wheelchair or a person who has muscle weakness and can't pull or push that door. Or let us say, as a regular person, you are you have a shopping item, a shopping trolley with you. Then it becomes very difficult to navigate that. So if the door has sensors, when you approach the door, it opens up. That's a best universal design. If a lady has a child on a pram, so that design works for everyone. So that door handle design is universal. That you don't have to pull or push the door. There is a sensor, you go inside. So these are called universal designs. Universal design for a spoon or a knife or a plate or electric switch or basically anything. So that becomes important. So we have asked LIMCO to set up a universal design center also in Kanpur. And they have tied up with the NID, National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, who are damn good in this. And we hope that LIMCO products will at least be much better designed. For example, we have now introduced a wheelchair for 10 to 14-year-old children, the middle size. We have introduced a very simple stuff. Cane, white cane as well as vibrating cane for smaller size for children. So that will be hitting the market soon. LIMCO has come out with a wheelchair design for sports persons and so on. So they are introducing more designs and better designs. And universal design is a bigger item which covers basically anything which basically helps everyone. The old people, people with disabilities, people without disabilities, it makes life simpler for everyone. So that was the theme of today's Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So I thought I would cover these items, which would be helpful to our faculty, to our CRE professionals, to parents, and to persons with disabilities. So broadly, I try to cover this. And if you have another VC to talk to that is on a similar theme, but at a different place at 10:30. So we have time for 1 or 2 questions if anyone has questions. Thank you so much.
I can take 2 to 3 questions, dear audience.
So meanwhile, one more point. I guess there is our faculty from NAPID also here. So we started the 2-day residential workshop in Jabalpur day before yesterday. I was in Jabalpur and Minister Sahab was also there. So we are going to have 5-day residential workshops free of cost for faculty of all our RCI colleges and special faculty of special schools associated with these colleges. My guess is we will have about 5,000 faculty of colleges and maybe another 2,000 faculty of special schools associated with the RCI. And RCI will take care of 5-day stay and food, etc. Only travel part people have to bear for themselves. Obviously, सरकारी लोगों का टिकट सरकार दे देगी, प्राइवेट वाले अपना करेंगे. And we have identified about 30 cities where more colleges are situated. So we want a combination of local guys and local faculty and faculty from other places, even other states, so for better sharing of best practices. So this will be starting next month. 5-day free faculty training, which will fetch also 30 CRE points. And we are making a lot of changes in syllabus also. And so that will also be sort of brought out to the faculty of all our RCA colleges. So I am sure NIPID will participate in that. Both that all faculty should get participated, all faculty of even private colleges from your state participates, and you will also become a venue for such courses, 5-day residential courses. Thank you. So one or two quick questions if there are any.
Dr. Rajesh, question? Dr. Ambani? Ask a question.
Good morning, sir. This is Dr. Ambari from NIPID Secunderabad, sir. So, regarding this accessibility related aspect, so there are a lot of guidelines being implemented by Government of India for accessible infrastructure for persons with disabilities in public places. But most of the public places, generally, when it comes to schools, this has been not been implemented. So, what will be the action which will be initiated by the Government of India for making them to implement this guidelines for accessing services for especially children with disabilities in schools, mainly when it comes to private sector schools. Okay, thank you, sir.
Absolutely, you are right. There are a lot of challenges in this. Very unfortunately, we don't see our children with special needs. The numbers there are actually in the country and the numbers which are in school, there is a huge mismatch. Then when we look at dropouts after class 5, class 8, class 10 and class 12, the dropouts amongst children with special needs is dramatically high. Very few kids actually go to college in that sense. And so that's why despite 4% reservation in jobs, even in government, you will find there are vacancies despite the, and similarly, despite 5% reservation in higher education, since the kids doing, for example, engineering in 11th and 12th engineering subjects is low, you don't see children with special needs actually getting into our engineering colleges and universities, etc., despite 5% reservation in higher education. And it's a societal issue also. The other parents, the teachers, they are not sensitized. And in private schools, actually it's much worse than government schools because sometimes other parents object, even though the principal might be willing to take the students. This attitude has started changing in metro cities. The state governments, which are actually it's a state subject, frankly, the school education, they are taking sensitization trainings across the system. Recently, Supreme Court has also said that schools should have provide inclusive education, they should have special educators and so on. And many states and private schools have started taking in special education. So this graph will rise dramatically over next 2-3 years. Now, certain SCPD state commissioners have started taking notice of it. Last week, Goa SCPD was able to nudge the state government to issue a notification that no private school in Goa will refuse admission to a child with special needs. And so things are moving, not at the speed we would like, but the courts are passing orders, SCPDs are nudging state governments are trying to do the best they can. So we hope situation will improve over next 2-3 years quite well on this. But ultimately, more than government nudging and all, it's a societal issue also, that how the society treats such children and their parents. In many housing societies, if you see in Hyderabad also, you do read in newspapers that sometimes in the lift other parents object and so on. It's a issue. It's a societal issue also. It's an attitudinal issue. So those things take time. But luckily, that's why we are also focusing on basically getting a lot of stories of successful children out into the domain, so that other parents also get motivated that no our special child can also get better treatment in the sense better reaction from the society, from the schools, from the colleagues in the school. And sometimes the children are admitted, but they get bullied by other students. So these are issues. So that's why RCI and we are focusing on both schools, special schools as well as inclusive. If you see our latest inspection norms also, we are actually encouraging inclusive schools also to be allowed, that if you don't have a special school, you have an inclusive school, actually you will get easier to get our pass our inspection norms and start D.Ed, B.Ed and other courses. So I hope situation improves faster than it is improving at the moment. Situation is definitely improving, but slowly at the moment. Your question was absolutely bang on. Yeah, one more question, then I have to say bye-bye.
Good morning, sir. I'm an occupational therapist, sir. I'm working in NIPED. What I observed, sir, for the cerebral palsy children, जैसे अभी आपने चेयर मीडियम साइज का भी बनाया जाएगा, मिडिल मतलब छोटे बच्चों के लिए, अगर वैसे ही फैसिलिटी सेरेब्रल पाल्सी बच्चों को सीटिंग चेयर फॉर मेंटेनिंग द प्रॉपर सिटिंग पोजीशन, अगर वो फैसिलिटी उनको मिलता है, क्योंकि बहुत से पेरेंट्स आते हैं जिन्हें स्पेशल चेयर बनवाने के लिए हम उनको सजेशन देते हैं, जो बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है। और आज के टाइम पे जो कारपेंटर से बाहर में आउटसाइड दे आर नॉट विलिंग टू मेक दो स्पेशल चेयर फॉर द सेरेब्रल पाल्सी चिल्ड्रन। तो पेरेंट्स को स्कूल में भी प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, because cerebral palsy child, though he is physically has some limitations, but the child is good at academics, so he can do academics also. अगर उसको सीपी चेयर अगर हम प्रोवाइड करते हैं या वैसा फैसिलिटी अगर मिलता है बच्चों के लिए, पेरेंट्स आसान हो जाएगा सर। बस मुझे यही पूछना है आपसे। थैंक यू सर।
We had actually an ADIP committee meeting about 2 weeks back. So we have added about 10 products in the ADIP list. So the जो CP chair वो sitting वाली होती है, floor वाली corner CP chair, that we have added in that list. So next week we are meeting to fix the rate for those items. And so I hope कि next 10 days that items and along with the upper rate ceiling that will be out in public domain. वो कई CRC से अपने NI से demand था. So that we have approved that item. Only the rates will be approved next week. So then you will get it as a part of LIMCO. चलिए ठीक है, thank you, Ram Kumar ji. You can sum up. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, we are all indeed privileged to know the latest, happenings in the Government of India with regard to a lot of aspects related to accessibility, all the AAAs, and how we can move forward, and the newest technologies which are being brought in for enabling the person with disabilities. We are very, very thankful to you, sir, for your valuable time, and we all feel blessed here, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm logging out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And now we will proceed with our today's session. So I would now like to invite Shri DPWD, Government of India, who has served more than 34 years in various capacities in the central government ministries, Department of Information and Broadcasting, Disability, Consumer and Human Rights, and also in the cabinet. He played a pivotal role in drafting the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, in designing the National Web Portal for Unique Disability Identity Project, and also National Application. We are privileged to have you with us today to deliver a lecture on the occasion of Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I would like the audience to please welcome our today's speaker with a big round of applause. And for the information of all the dignitaries, we are on YouTube Live as well as in Google Meet, and we have more than 400 participants who are connected through our YouTube Live. Welcome to all the participants who are in the YouTube Live. We'll be taking up your questions as well at the end of this talk. So if you have any questions, please type it in the YouTube chat box. And the Google Meet participants, please type your questions in the Google Meet chat box. Our speakers will address the questions at the end of the talk. Over to you, K.S. Rao sir, for the delivering of today's lecture.
Yeah, good morning, all of you. It's my pleasure to be. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be with all of you.
मैडम आए नहीं आज, इसकी स्टेटमेंट बनानी थी मैंने, बताई थी।
Yeah, am I audible?
क्या बताई अभी तक?
Am I audible?
Yes sir. Yes sir. Auditor.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to mute and for 1 minute. Our technical team is working on it, and we will mute all so that there will be an undisturbed talk. Rahul?
Yeah, can I proceed?
Yes sir.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah, so you can start. I will start my PPT, but before that, I would like to say that Secretary DPWD has clearly mentioned what accessibility is. He has also mentioned the scope. He has mentioned what are the challenges, and he also mentioned what are the new developments that are happening in the department and what they are planning to do. So, in fact, it is a. Yeah, is it visible? Is my PPT visible?
Yes sir. Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
Yeah, is it okay?
Yes sir.
Yes, sir. Please,
Yeah.
can you please make it full screen?
So, thank you very much. And I should first of all thank the NIPID for organizing this important webinar on this Global Accessibility Awareness Day, which is a very important day for all of us, for those who are in the disability sector, and also for those persons with disabilities, their parents, and all stakeholders to really understand what accessibility is. Yes, in fact, all of you, most of the professionals know what I'm going to speak, and I don't have to explain much about it because you know the definition, you know what actually we are all working for it. But I think on this day, why this day is fixed every year is mainly for us to remind ourselves our responsibilities and the rights that persons with disabilities have towards accessibility, and what we all have to remind ourselves and also work for it. So in addition to what Secretary has said, in fact, he has made my work very easy, and I would not be repeating what he has already said. Let me tell you, I would be focusing on why accessibility is important and what are the laws that we have, which we have to implement, and we have no option but to work for it. In fact, the law that we have in India, Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, it also has the offenses and punishments. Offenses for not implementing the provisions of the Act, and so also the punishments for it. So therefore, I think it is mandatory for all of us to really understand the law so that we implement the law. Otherwise, we would be attracted by the provisions of the Act. Secondly, the international community is also sensitized, and all the countries have accepted that we all have to work for the empowerment of persons with disabilities. So to begin with, I would tell you what I would be covering in my presentation. One is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. I will briefly talk about what are the provisions there. Then we will also talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, which also talks about accessibility. Then what are the main provisions of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. which we are supposed to implement. Then the SIGDA scheme of the department, by which the grants are given to the state governments and also to the central governments. Then I will be discussing on the Accessible India campaign, which Secretary also touched upon it. Then the accessible guidelines, which are very important to implement the campaign. And finally, I would give my conclusions about the accessibility.
Sir, voice is not a. Sir, no voice.
So your mic is mute.
Rao
You are
sir,
not audible.
sir, your mic is muted. Please
Yeah,
unmute yourself.
is it okay now?
Yes, sir, now it is okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we are a party to the international treaty, which is the United Nations Convention. Therefore, we have the serious obligation to implement the convention. The 8 principles which have been enumerated in the convention, I will read out, which are very important and which are also the preamble to our own domestic law. A, respect for inherent dignity, individual autonomy, including the freedom to make one's own choices and independence of persons. Number 2, non-discrimination. Number 3, full and effective participation and inclusion in society. Number 4, respect for difference and acceptance of persons with disabilities as part of human diversity and humanity. Next slide. Yeah. Then we have equality of opportunity, accessibility, equality between men and women, respect for evolving capacities of children with disabilities, and respect for the right of children with disabilities to preserve their identities. So it is very clear that these guidelines are the main kind of lamppost for us to see how whatever facilities are available for persons without disabilities, it is our duty to ensure that the same facilities are available for persons with disabilities. Now let us see what is the Article 9 talks about accessibility in the UN Convention. It mandates countries to ensure barrier-free access to persons with disabilities in physical environment, which our secretary was mentioning, the buildings and roads. Then we have transportation, medical facilities, workplaces, information, communication, and our other services. Then development and notifications to be issued regarding the minimum accessibility standards. So apart from the UN Convention, India is also a party to the Sustainable Development Goals agenda of 2030, in which it is very clear that the SDGs provide inclusive development, and the slogan is leaving no one behind. The goal 11.2 deals with accessible transport and improving road safety. Then goal 11.7 deals with universal access to safe, inclusive, and accessible public places for PWDs. So these are the two main international laws that every country has to implement. Now, let us see what are the main barriers that persons with disabilities are facing today. There are many barriers, but I am trying to focus on 5 important barriers which are very relevant today of today's Global Accessible Awareness Day. One is attitudinal barriers. We stereotype persons with disabilities. We say, yes, now these kind of people cannot do much work. So this kind of mindset is what is affecting today, and that needs to be changed. Then there is the communication barrier. Like, for instance, a film is shown where everybody can understand, but a person who is hearing impaired will not be able to really know what is happening, or what is being shown in the film. So a film without a caption or even a website which is not accessible, for instance, if it doesn't have a caption or if it doesn't have screen reader, then the persons with disabilities will find it difficult to really know what is happening. So there, the communication barrier. Then physical barrier, again, as our secretary has been emphasizing, the absence of steps, lifts, ramps, and suitable signages. Then the policy barrier. There are very inflexible policies and procedures which have been happening and which are being corrected, but still lots to be done in terms of education, employment, and many other areas which we need to review from time to time. And finally, the social barrier, presence of social stigma, the stigma and discrimination which is there against persons with disabilities. So these are the main 5 barriers, and the today's discussion on accessibility must cover all these 5 barriers, so that we are try to able to find solutions to remove these barriers and make the life of persons with disabilities more enjoyable and also fulfilling. Now, coming to the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, the disability is now defined as barriers created by the environment and not due to individual's impairment. Earlier, we used to blame the individual. Yes, you do not have certain sensory organs, or you have some defect, or even absence of certain limbs. But now disability is defined that if the environment is changed, the kind of impairments that the persons with disabilities have can be overcome. For instance, an example, supposing there is a conference in the first floor, and if a person who does not have lips, he cannot walk, who has to use a wheelchair, if he has to come to the first floor, if he can provide a ramp or a lift and a wheelchair person to push the wheelchair, then he is able to reach the first floor and also join the conference. So, but he's still able to reach there because of the barriers in the environment have been corrected. A ramp wheelchair has been provided, or even an attendant is provided to move him. So in this way, every disability can be handled. Every impairment can be handled in this manner, so that we reduce the effect of impairment in their day-to-day life. Section 3 guarantees equality and non-discrimination. Here, as I said, every facility, every place, every product have to be accessible, should be used by persons with disabilities as equally as any person without disability is enjoying. Section 11 talks about ensuring that all polling stations be made accessible. This is one of the political rights. Coming forward is access to justice. Section 12, it talks about it. For instance, in the courts, the judgments are passed. Now, we need to have the judgments in a particular type of communication. It could be braille, it could be any other method, it could be even audio, so that the persons with disabilities are able to read the judgments. Even other papers have to be provided to them. And plus, even when they have to be produced as a witness, a person with hearing impairment, he has to be provided a sign language interpreter. The definition of reasonable accommodation is a very important concept, which is there in our law of 2016. It says that we have to provide certain adjustments and modifications in our environment so that the same environment is used by every person, whether a person with ability or disability. Now, our responsibility has increased more because of 21 categories of disabilities have been recognized under the Law Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. As you all know, I don't have to read the categories, but from the 7 categories of the earlier law of 1995, we have 14 types have been added. So therefore, more work has to be done to really understand what are the problems that each one is facing in terms of accessibility and how we can sort out through policies, through technology and through financial support and through various ways by which we can make their life comfortable. Then section 16 talks about making educational institutions, buildings, campuses and various facilities accessible. In fact, a question has been raised to our secretary regarding admissions and other problems that we are facing in schools. It is true. The accessibility is not just making buildings or campus accessible, but access to admissions, access to proper communication, to understand the instruction, the language of instruction, the mode of communication. It could be sign language, it could be various other methods. So these are the various ways of making the whole environment accessible. Section 25, it talks about barrier-free access in government and private hospitals. This is very important because whatever changes we make, the one important part is that we make for the person with disabilities is also will be helpful for other categories of people. It could be pregnant women, it could be persons who has suffered from fracture, it could be sick people, it could be senior citizens. So a ramp or a lift, all those which are used for, which are being made available for persons with disabilities can be utilized for other categories of persons as well. Now, coming to section 29 and 30, just as the persons without disabilities have so many facilities apart from education and jobs, employment, but the persons with disabilities are also entitled for facilities of culture, recreation and sports. So all spheres of life have to be made available to persons with disabilities. So therefore, even here, the accessibility has to take care of all the facilities so that they are able to use the facilities. Now, the main part of accessibility is described in sections 40 to 46. The Act clearly defines what is public building, public facility system, and universal design, as Secretary has talked about it. In fact, public buildings also includes private buildings which have access to public, for example, a mall, a shopping mall, even though it is of a private organization. But since it is the people are large number of people are accessing there, that is also defined as a public building. Section 40, which was not there in the 1995 Act, gives the responsibility to the central government to formulate minimum accessible standards for physical environment, transportation, and ICT, so that we really know when we have to make something accessible, what are various features which we have to keep in mind so that it takes care of the accessibility issues in a complete way, catering to all persons with disabilities. And the Act clearly says that we have to take care of not only urban but also the rural areas, and the government has issued a number of guidelines, including harmonized guidelines of 2017, which is for the public physical environment, bus body code for transportation, and website standards. Section 41 specifically talks about making transport facilities accessible, even encouraging use of adapted personal vehicles. Section 42 deals with access to ICT. For example, TV programs will have captioning and sign language interpretation. Section 43 talks about consumer goods should be universally designed so that every person, the person with disability or without disability, are able to use such goods and products. Section 44 talks that the new buildings which need permission for construction, only if they agree to comply with the accessible guidelines, such permission has to be given. Sections 45 and 46, they deal with timelines, which again was not there in the previous act. Here, timelines are prescribed, for instance, for physical environment, 5 years from the date of notification of guidelines, and 2 years for services. Now, coming to the SIPDA scheme for implementation of Persons with Disabilities Act, here there are several provisions in the act which need to be implemented. So the central government, the Department of Persons with Disabilities, has an umbrella kind of scheme which tries to provide financial assistance to state governments, autonomous bodies, universities to create barrier-free environment other than those areas covered under Accessible India campaign. The Accessible India campaign, which Secretary has very broadly mentioned, it started in December 2015. It is still continuing. It is for achieving universal accessibility for persons with disabilities, for equal opportunities and participation to lead productive, safe, and dignified lives. 3 major components are built up: environment, transport, and ICT accessibility. In the built up environment, about 1,671 state buildings were identified across 49 cities, and funding is being provided to these buildings. Initially, an audit is done to see what needs to be done. Then the amount is decided, and then after that, when the construction happens, another audit happens to see whether all features have been covered. Similarly, 1,100 buildings belong to state and central government have also been identified for retrofitting. Regarding transportation, the monitoring is done mainly in 3 areas. Railways, as a secretary has dealt with railways, then also international airports and domestic airports. Then about 1,47,096 passenger buses are being made accessible in the country across the states. And 805 state government websites are being made accessible. Similarly, 100 central government websites. The AAC MIS portal has been created, by which the state governments will update the details of what developments happening in their construction of various buildings, transportation, as well as websites. The Sugamya Bharat app has also been created. It's a crowdsourcing source where people can send pictures as to where the accessibility is not there, so that action is taken. More, as Secretary also said, more standard guidelines are being formulated in a number of sectors. I'm only giving a few examples. In fact, they are across all ministries. Say it could be civil aviation, railways, health, information broadcasting, education, shipping, and culture, because each of them have specific problems, and they have to cater, they have to examine and see how accessibility can be achieved. Now, coming to the conclusion, I would like to say that persons with disabilities have right to enjoy various freedoms equally with others, including facilities and services. If we do not do this, then I think we are excluding them from the mainstream society and depriving them of various freedoms and facilities. The second is, to achieve this and empowerment and inclusion, accessibility is very essential. In fact, access means making things available, as Secretary said, that, for instance, an example of early intervention. As they have to be there closer to them, that is access. Once you have them, accessibility is entering into the building and going around and see there are no barriers. And then it is with this access and accessibility, the inclusion happens, and with the inclusion, finally the empowerment happens. Accessibility accompanied by technology and forward-looking policies will play a very crucial role. Use of technology, as Secretary has said, the assistive devices is technology is what is important and which the department is working on. Lots and lots remains to be done because the disabled sector is vast and expanding area. Innovation, research, and concerted efforts are needed across all sectors. Government, private sector, civil society organizations should play an important role. Every individual has a duty to contribute to this. Action-oriented steps accompanied by timelines can cover accessibility across complete urban and rural areas. So, at the end, I would like to say that accessibility is not to be limited or understanding of it limited only to this day, but we have to work on it every day so that we achieve the goals of accessibility as decided, as fixed by our law, and also the UN Convention and the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I think time is already up. And if there are one or two questions, I would like to handle them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. And now it's question time. Participants in the Google Meet can ask the questions. You can unmute yourself and ask one or two questions from the Google Meet. Then we'll take questions from the YouTube chat. Any questions from the participants who are in the Google Meet?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am very delighted, and I have listened to Kivira explanation. It is very appropriate that he mentioned 5 ways how to reach the goals to get access to the persons with disabilities. They are very good. But it is very, actually, you know that our Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan में important 3 दिए हैं. वो enlightened, one is environment system, and other is ICT ecosystem, and transportation. Apart from this, KB Rao told 5 is they are very good. But one thing actually, our Mr. Nagarushan and I went to the Chennai. But the practicability, I am asking one question. Please, one committee should be, or task force committee should be constituted to look after ground level problems in railways, except because I visited so many stations. They are telling that there is no any appropriate access to the railway stations. Even in Hyderabad, Kachaguda, and Chennai, I have visited. So how to make the success of this practicability? Just kindly explain about the persons with disabilities. This is the ICT system. There are so many drawbacks. How to overcome these drawbacks? Kindly explain.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very important points have been raised. Regarding the problems that we face at the ground level, It's very important that even though the central government is trying to work, but we cannot leave it only to the central government to solve the problems. At the state level and at the district level, equal responsibility is there as per the law, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. We have to ensure that the states and also districts, they also work actively in this area. The law talks about district level committee. Apart from the state commissioner at the state level, this district level committee also has to be constituted by the state governments. In every district, it may be headed by, depending on the state government, it could be headed by district collector, comprising of the chief medical officer, superintendent of police, educational officer, so that at the ground level, they should be able to identify what problems are there and try to solve problems at their own individual level, at the district level. And if the problems have to be solved by the state or the central, then they have to send those issues to the respective authorities. I think this is one way I look at it, because we cannot leave everything to the central government. Every level has to work on it, not only the government sector, even private sector, as I said, even individuals. We also, when we see somebody at the neighborhood, a neighbor or anyone who's asking for instance, a disability certificate, we should be able to guide him properly to see where he has to go. In fact, I also, even now after my retirement, I get some phone calls. They say that I don't know where I have to go for assessment of my child with intellectual disability. So I had to guide them. So law is there, programs are there, institutions are there, CRCs are there, but people still do not know. So awareness has to be improved. And even at our own level, who are all working in the disability sector, I think we have to be a little proactive and see whenever there are some individual problems around us, we should be able to guide them to the right place. Regarding the other issue of ICT, in fact, it is a major issue. Myself being a person without disability, I found it very difficult to log in today. In the morning, I had to take help of Ms. Shabari Ghosh here, who was able to help me. So if I can face such problems, we can imagine how the persons with disabilities will have more problems. In fact, for instance, I'm using Paytm and other apps, which is so easy to solve our day-to-day problems of booking a ticket or even shopping, many things. So same facilities have to be available for persons with disabilities. I think that is the goal. And in fact, the Korean government, what they do, they recruit the best of the persons with disabilities who are good in ICT, and they also give them jobs in their research unit and see how they can produce such a products and also softwares which are good for persons with disabilities. So this is one way where our companies, government or private companies, they can employ persons with disabilities and see how research can be conducted, how products and software which are useful for persons with disabilities can be designed so that much of the problems can be solved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So we have a couple of questions in the chat box. I'll be asking a few. And we also have some questions who are directly attending this talk in the auditorium also, sir. So one of the questions is, the school buildings are in heritage buildings, and we are unable to do any kind of modifications like accessing the floors or lifts. In this case, what suggestion would you give for infrastructural accessibility? This question has been asked by Ms. Diksha Tripathi, who works as a teacher in a regular school.
Yeah, Sugamya Bar app that is there, they have to, in fact, photograph those places where accessibility is not there. And then they send it, so the central government will look into it and then pass on to the concerned agencies for rectifying those areas to make them accessible. This is one important way. And the other way is also writing emails to the state commissioner or even the chief commissioner or to the state governments, whichever way. Let them send their problems to various channels so that at least some of them will look into it and try to solve the problem.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question from the audience who are attending from MIPED Auditorium. Sir, please ask the question.
myself Nagabhushan, basically activist and the Secretary General Friendly Environment for the Disabled. Sir, good morning everyone, especially Rao sir. सर आप जो बता दिए एक्सेसिबिलिटी के बारे में, प्रेजेंट भी बहुत अच्छी है और वर्ड्स भी बहुत ब्यूटीफुल है, मगर आपने जो जीना है सर, जो फील्ड में जो चीज में एक्सेसिबिलिटी मेन थिंग है, जो आपने नींद से उठे से रात को सोने तक एक्सेसिबिलिटी वेरी 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 एसेंशियल टू a man up to die. I mean, the accessibility needs the senior citizens also. But sir, जो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन मैकेनिज्म है, इम्प्लीमेंटिंग एजेंसी है, आप जो बोले एक्ट कमिश्नर्स है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर्स है, जो अथॉरिटीज है, मगर जो एक्ट आया 16 के पहले आया, डिपेंड बेस्ड ऑन यूएनसीआरपीडी एक्ट 2016 आया, जो अभी अपन 2023 में है, अभी एक्सेसिबिलिटी के बारे में रेलवेज में भी नहीं, ट्रांसपोर्ट में नहीं, जो जो हाईली पर्सनालिटीज जो पीडब्ल्यूडीज और सीनियर सिटीजन्स जो यूटिलाइज करते हैं, और ग्रासरूट पीडब्ल्यूडीज जो रोजगार के लिए समझो, अगर पढ़ाने के लिए समझो, जाना रेलवे ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम ज्यादा यूज करते थे, इसमें आज तक 10% पे एक्सेसिबिलिटी ग्रोथ नहीं आया। इसके बारे में और यूनियन गवर्नमेंट सेक्रेटरी गवर्नमेंट जो स्टेट सेक्रेटरी जो है, तो मॉनिटरिंग कमेटी, विजिलेंस कमेटी जो टाइम टू टाइम क्वार्टरली नहीं तो मंथली जो फंक्शनल अटेंसिबल जो है, जो इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं कर रहे, पहले इसमें तो एक्शन लिए तो कुछ फायदा रहता ना। आफ्टर 75 वीक्स अमृत भारत कुछ महोत्सव अपन कर ले रही, अभी भी हमारे जो लोग इतना साल से जंग करके जो आज प्रेसिडेंस लाया है, हम प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रहे हैं, और आगे जनरेशन के लिए क्या एक्सेसिबिलिटी मिलता है, हम क्या देखना चाहते, ये बहुत बुरे बात नहीं, डोंट फील आई थिंक अदरवाइज वेरी वेरी एसेंशियल सारे टू से accessibility. Where is the active commissioners? Where is the railways, transport system, district collectors? Time to time, when you can time schedule, otherwise punishment or fine or any increment or any service matter, give any provisions or for punishment. जो बताए ये तो बहुत अपन जो कर ले रहे बहुत अच्छी बात है सब, मगर एक्सेसिबिलिटी वेरी वेरी एसेंशियल है। मैं बहुत फील है के टाइम पे, और नेचुरल का अपने एक्सेसिबिलिटी बहुत प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रहे हैं। नाउ एटलीस्ट क्वार्टरली और मंथली मॉनिटरिंग कमिटी, विजिलेंस कमिटी शुड बी देयर, दे कमिटी फॉलो टाइम टू टाइम, कुछ तो कुछ रिजल्ट आता, हमारे देश में वो प्रॉब्लम से हो जाता। तो ये मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है सर, ये रिक्वेस्ट आप मानते बिल्कुल भी मैं समझ रहा हूँ, ये तो बहुत एसेंशियल है। जो इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं होता उनको पनिशमेंट भी देना चाहिए, फाइन भी करना चाहिए, अगर नहीं उनको ये नहीं और सर्विस में से रिमूव भी करना चाहिए सर, ये मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है सर। थैंक यू।
Yeah, thank you very much. You have clearly stated the situation that is prevailing. In fact, secretary भी यही बताया कि जो चीज और काफी स्लो चल रहा है इन वेरियस सेक्टर्स, और अवेयरनेस काफी इंक्रीज करना है, और सभी एजेंसी, सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स इसमें काम करने का बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, स्टेट लेवल, सेंट्रल लेवल एंड डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल्स, और पब्लिक ऑल्सो। हम काफी सेंसिटाइजेशन होना चाहिए सभी पब्लिक को, एंड एवरी इंडिविजुअल हैज टू वर्क टुगेदर, क्योंकि इसमें सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट को ब्लेम करने से नहीं होगा। ऑल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, गवर्नमेंटल, प्राइवेट, एवरीवन हैव टू वर्क टुगेदर। और इसमें एक ज्यादा बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट मैं फिर दोबारा बताऊंगा कि जो जो कानून है इतना मजबूत है कंपेयर टू 95 जो लॉ था, इसमें ऑफेंसेस पनिशमेंट क्लियरली मेंशन किया है। तो जब भी कुछ काम नहीं हो रहा तो वी आर फ्री टू गो टू द कोर्ट, एंड कोर्ट्स आर वेरी सेंसिटिव। हाई कोर्ट और सुप्रीम कोर्ट काफी जजमेंट्स इन फेवर ऑफ पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटीज काफी रूलिंग दे रहा है, एंड इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वी हैव टू मेक यूज ऑफ द लॉ एंड अचीव आवर गोल। दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। और मीडिया में भी जहां डेफिशिएंसीज है उसमें रिफ्लेक्ट कर सकते हैं. इसमें अपना सबका योगदान होगा कि वी हैव टू bring it to the notice of government, because they will know only when we are able to tell them these are the problems. I am sure a law hone se, it is a weapon that we can utilize it for achieving our objective. It is much better than previous law. जो changes slow हुआ था जो previous law में, इस law आने के बाद काफी fast चल रहा है, and then awareness से और ज्यादा problems बाहर आ रहा है और उसका solution भी हो रहा है. सभी सेक्टर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट में इकट्ठा काम कर रहे हैं. आई एम श्योर इस जो एक्सेसिबिलिटी अवेयरनेस डे है ये वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है कि यही जो इश्यूज आप रेज किया है आप उनको रिमाइंड करेंगे और ज्यादा हौसला से सब काम करने का दैट विल गिव अस द कमिटमेंट टू इंक्रीज आवर कमिटमेंट टू सॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम. थैंक यू.
Thank you, sir. And we have one last question. And I think it is a very important question also, sir, in the current light of accessibility, that students with disabilities, according to CBSE, are getting certain exemptions, but they are not having any access to simplified and separate question paper pattern. And hence, it is becoming very difficult for children to attempt in these exams. Can something be done? Can any instructions be given to CBSE and other state boards wherein students with disabilities can benefit from accessible and simplified question papers which are exclusively designed for them?
Yeah, very nice question. In fact, CBSE is very sensitive to the issues of persons with disabilities. They have been working a lot to bring a lot of changes. In fact, this issue can be taken up with the CBSE, and simultaneously they can also take up with this chief commissioner for persons with disabilities. Chief commissioner can summon the CBSE and ask them to work on this issue to solve the problem. Regarding the other state boards also, the representation can be sent to the respective state commissioners for persons with disabilities in their respective states. And they also can look into the problem and give directions to the state boards to make changes for the benefit of persons with disabilities.
Thank you, sir. I think due to paucity of time, we will continue with the next sessions. I know many of the participants have raised hands and they are typing your questions in the chat box. I would request the Google Meet participants to please type your questions. Sir will be connected with us for some more time. I would request Rao sir to please go through the chat box questions if possible, because due to paucity of time, we'll not be able to take up other questions. Our next speaker is also ready to deliver the lecture. Rao sir, thank you so much for shedding light on various aspects of accessibility. And even our YouTube participants also have questions, but we are not taking up, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are now sharing the evaluation link for session 1. So all the participants who are connected through the Google Meet are requested to please click on the evaluation link and answer the questions. You'll be having the 5 minutes time. I once again announce, for the sake of the participants who are connected through the YouTube, we have already sent the Google Meet link for all registered participants for CRE points, and only 250 is the limit as per RCI. And it is mandatory that all who are connected in Google Meet have to do the evaluation, and based on your evaluation marks, the CRE points will be allotted. These are the new guidelines given by RCI, and strictly RCI norms are being followed. Kindly attempt the evaluation link which is now being shared.
Ma'am, can you please share the link? I'm not able to see.
Hold on, the team is looking at it. Just hold on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The link is shared. Please try and do that. 250 eligible and attending participants according to RCI norms will be getting CRE points. And in the afternoon session from 3 o'clock to 5, we have a Hindi version on the same aspects on accessibility. So 250 participants from the Hindi version will also get in the afternoon session. So in the current session, 250 participants will be eligible for getting CRE points if your evaluation and attendance is all intact as per RCI norms. Meanwhile, I would request our next speaker, Shankar Subaya Garu, to please be ready. I would request all the students who are sitting in the back rows to please come forward and occupy the front rows. Now that we have some vacant seats in the front rows, please come forward and sit in the front rows. Students seated in the back rows, please come and occupy the seats in the front row.
Let's start the next section. They can start the section.
Welcome back to the second technical session for today, and we have our esteemed speaker, Sri Shankar Subaya Garu. He is a passionate IT professional working as assistive technology and accessibility consultant based out of Chennai for the slogan, inclusion is equality, accessibility is the key. He's currently associated with National Institute for the Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities and departments like public libraries, commissionerates for persons with disability, colleges, universities, and research-based and technology-based institutions. He works on designing and implementing various projects based on ICT for education and livelihood with developmental sector organizations like Leonard Shire UK, CBM, Bookshare.org, and other CSR organizations. He mentors and works with many assistive technology startups in India for developing user-centric solutions. We are very delighted to have you with us, Shankar Subaya Garu. And indeed, today's theme is also completely based on how to make technology accessible. So we are very eager to listen to you. Over to you now, sir. So you're muted, kindly.
Yeah. I'm just unmuting my mic. First of all, I'd like to thank the management of NIPID for giving me this opportunity, the director sir and the organizing committee. And I'd also like to thank our director of NIPMED for giving me this opportunity to present before this August audience here in NIPID. Without much taking of time, I'd like to go into the presentation. I'll also like to thank our previous speaker, Rao sir, and Secretary Saab, and everybody who have emphasized on accessibility, which is the need at the hour for implementing Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. So I'll just try to go into my presentation, and from that point, we can discuss more on this. Is my audio okay, ma'am? Or should I, Shilpa, ma'am? Can somebody?
Yes, sir, your screen is shared.
Okay. Now, is my audio okay? Is it audible or should me?
Yes, yes, you are
raise
audible,
my-
sir.
Okay.
Let me.
So, first of all, namaskar, namaste, vanakkam, and good morning to you all. Okay. This particular session will be more dealing upon ICT, Information and Communication Technology, as this particular day of Global Accessibility Awareness Day deals with that. So, what's the purpose of this day? If you think about it, we all know that every day morning, like we get up, whether we take our toothbrush or not, we take our mobile devices, right? First, we check like what's the message that has come, what's the WhatsApp which has come, right? So, what the posts which have been posted by friends, relatives, or anybody, like colleagues and everybody. So, technology has reached our hands. Now, how to make an inclusion in that is already happening in technology, particularly in mobile devices. Accessibility has been a core as part of universal design. There are so many features into that. We'll be seeing it also. But still, there are many gaps to be closed. That's why this Global Accessibility Awareness Day is being kind of commemorated, particularly because every user deserves a first-rate digital experience on the web, not only on the web, even on offline apps and devices also. The same thing for a person with disability as well as without disability. So to create an awareness about this particular commitment to inclusion, the Global Accessibility Day is being celebrated on 18th May 2023, the goal. The whole mission is like, that in the advent of COVID-19, we all know that ICT has gone into every home, right? Everybody's hands also. For many purposes, it can be for daily life or even health-related thing where we may have to log into app and say register even for a vaccine or a cable. So like that, everywhere ICT was getting inside. So this is called disruption, technology disruption we call it. So now when we do such kind of a disruption using technology, spreading technology to everyone, there is a need for accessibility as a core requirement here. Meaning that the base is ready, the base is accessible. At the same time, what all can be added? If you develop an application, if you develop a website, or if you develop any kind of a ICT-based product, it can be your own refrigerator, it can be your own micro oven, or it can be your own fan, or it can be your own light, whichever be a kind of a product which has come out of a technology, how to make it accessible. So that's where the discussions are going on all around the world today to make more and more products accessible out of universal design, inclusive design. It's where the whole world is talking today. So let us also find out where we stand particularly and what are the kind of already existing assistive devices and technology which are more making life accessible for our own brothers and sisters with disabilities, and what are the kind of standard guidelines which are available globally as well as in India, and what can we do, like this change starts with us, right? So what can we do in our own daily life, in our own daily life activities to make accessibility a possibility? Okay, that's how the whole session is going to be. So we all know, like as Rao sir was telling, the disability, the number of type of disabilities have gone from 7 to 21 now. So there is a need. There is a strong need which is being more and more augmented now because everyone is unique here. Every human is unique. Everybody has their own kind of requirements. So accordingly, can technology serve that? That's what we're going to say. So what is against this particular topic we are talking about, accessibility to all, leave no one behind when we think about accessibility, there are barriers, particularly in terms of technology wise. I'm pretty much not trying to restrict myself to technology side. Barriers in communication or information which is available and access to that, or the way I'm able to, perceive, consume that, and do my next level activity as a presentation. So that's where the issues are happening, right? So what may be a barrier for as a person, internal barrier? What can be the barriers? It can be due to the difficulties I have in seeing, hearing, speech, movement, communication, or cognition, or specific learning, like reading, writing, specific learning activities like reading, writing, calculations, or understanding a grammatical way the languages, or socializing with others for any kind of activity, right? Even through technology medium. This may be a kind of a barrier which I may have internally. When you consider the external barrier, it's more about accessing to that particular technology. As well as even the technology is available, but the content which is being displayed, the content which is being presented through that particular technology, is it accessible and is it accommodating the difficulty I have? For example, if I'm not able to see, can I hear that? Right? Can I touch that and touch and feel that? If I'm not able to speak, can I have a mode, an alternative mode for communication? If I'm not able to understand something, can it be made simple? Can somebody work on that? So these are all something kind of an external barrier which may be available. Again, when you come to a person, the fear and lack of confidence. Many times, like, we feel that we cannot operate mobiles, we cannot, work on such complex applications and all that. But technology is very simple. We lack the confidence, but our own children, if you consider even day from 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, or 10 months old children are able to hold a mobile now, are able to get into anything. Just click on some button and explore something. They don't have the fear. But when you grow up, what kind of fears are coming inside? So how these applications or apps can be made more and more, to operate fearlessly, to give us more strength to operate. That's the internal barrier we may have to address. External barrier is when we develop such kind of an application, will it become more costlier? Will it be available for everyone? Will it be spread to everyone? Will it be kind of, whether it's any media, it can be through various sources, technology or service providers available for providing such a kind of an access, training, support, maintenance. That's the external barrier we have. The third one, as of now, the education level, particularly, there are reports like, person with disabilities, children with disabilities, or any other kind of a marginalized, population, they have limited access to education even at the foundational level. We do have schemes like Nippon Bharat, but still things have to be addressed for children with disabilities to get to that particular foundational literacy and numeracy level. No matter children, when you consider the elderly population, again, those with not much of literacy, will they be able to operate such kind of technology solutions? Will they be able to handle such kind of a communication method? It is one kind of internal barrier. And externally, if you think about complex communication systems, now we are trying to at least unify everything towards Aadhaar, towards unique disability ID card. Still, there are much more miles to go for all of us to get a unique disability ID card. But until then, there are so many forms, even if I have to fill it up. For example, even applying for a job or something, I need to fill up a fitness certificate. I need to fill up a scribe certificate, even after putting it in the application form that I need a scribe. So much of complex communication which we ourselves create to be more authentic. Can you not unify it? Can you not make the attendance with all such artificial intelligence like, we talk about like so many BARD, so many GPT, Chat GPT, everything. But can you not make utterance just to be recognized by a face, right? Just to be recognized by a thumb or something like that. Still, we print so much of hall tickets out. Technology is available, so complex mechanisms are happening. Reliance on someone. When it happens, particularly with severe kind of a disability, at some point of time, they may have to rely on somebody even to operate technology or to get trained on that. So can this technology manuals, can this technology be made very easy so that it can be self-learned? So this is one other barrier we have. And even if this technology is available, the external barrier is the social attitude, as Rao and everybody were mentioning about, like technology is available, ADIP schemes are available, government educational loans are available, NHFDs is providing schemes for assistance to procure kind of a technology devices. Still, is it reaching the end? Is it getting lost in the middle channel? This is social attitude. So these barriers, like, we may have to break it up. But we can rest assured that technology is one solution, because technology can enhance something. It can enhance any kind of a capability. It can also transform the capability from one way to another. Because it works on the kind of a model called summer. Since like it's by research scholar Ruben Batata in Massachusetts, he has defined that technology can substitute anything. For example, if I'm not able to write, I can type. So this is a substitution. Very easily I can do that. And it becomes an augmentation when I'm able to hear and type. I'm able to hear what I'm typing, then I don't make any mistakes. Right? I have two senses operating on this. As somebody with seeing is able to see and write. Now my senses both are operating here. Ability to type, ability to hear. So it becomes an augmentation. Or probably like somebody is not able to understand my alternative way of communication, then if the technology can make me speak by text to speech, is augmentation. And by this, like, the modification can also happen. For example, any kind of information which is provided to a person can be read out now, right? Text to speech. Similarly, like I'm not able to, type or something, but I can speak to a machine. I can speak to a kind of a mobile device, Google Assistant, Siri. So many apps are available. Even WhatsApp, you can just enable a voice note. So that the purpose is solved. The purpose of sending somebody a message as a communication is solved. This is modification. Redefinition is something like where it cannot be achieved, but now this is made possible. Simple to say that, like augmented reality, virtual reality, where people particularly cannot travel, technology making them to travel. Imagine that in a classroom, a teacher has to show something of a Himalayan region where the particular mountains are snow-clad mountains. Now showing a video is something different, but the child now, the smart child now may ask like, teacher, can I show you now today? What is it happening there? Google Earth is allowing it now, right? So this is how technology can even transform things, because this is required for some child with cognitive difficulty who may not understand all this written in text. He wants to see something and to learn something on that. For his memory, he needs something more. This is possible using technology. So what in common you see in all of them? Can anybody say? What in common all of? Just to make an interactive session. They're all using some kind of a technology device, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The thing is like they're not operating the same way as we are operating. We use our own keyboard, we use our own mouse, but they are not using a mouse or a keyboard, a conventional keyboard. They use a device called mouseware, wherein they can operate using their head. Okay. They can operate using their head movements. So this is enabling kind of a technology which is being developed in India by a startup. Okay. So that I can operate my computers, I can operate any of the applications in computers, I can draw, I can do my banking jobs. Okay, just by the movement of my head, or just by pressing a kind of a switch which can be fitted in my wheelchair or which can be fitted in my bed or anywhere. So this is possible now using technology. I believe I'll be able to run this video. I may have to switch on to the tab mode because Google allows audio only in the tab mode. I'm stopping my presentation and then I'm again presenting it now as a tab. Manoj was a kind of a banger previously until he was lately, detected with multiple sclerosis, and after that the whole life changed. But he was not deterred by that when technology came for his support. Are you able to see my screen or?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
No,
There is nothing on the screen. We are not
Okay.
sharing it.
Yeah. Now?
At 34,
Yes,
he
sir.
is
Yeah.
able to work
Yes,
remotely
sir.
with
Yes.
the help of this miraculous device. Not
Yes,
just
sir.
this, he is able to connect with friends and family on social media through his phone by wearing this headband.
I keep myself busy with the sports events. I listen to a lot of music. So these things keep me busy.
Okay. Just a small video, probably like, I just want to show you, just to, demonstrate that with the technology, things are possible. So he is now able to continue his banking things, banking job now. How is this possible? Two ways. One is that technology helps in creating alternative format of a content. You can very easily create content in, with a picture, with an audio, as I do with video embedded presentation. Okay, very easy to read, right? The same thing, somebody who has a seeing difficulty, if they want to make it into a large print, into a bigger, kind of a point size, I can now enable my screen to maximize it. I'll show you that also. Okay. Similarly, the same thing can be converted into a text to sign. There are apps coming up, research is on, but still 80 to 90% people have succeeded. I can also give you some links about it, like, typing a word, it converts into a sign animation. Indicate this is being done now. And if you consider even this particular application of Google Meet, if you enable particularly the closed caption option, which is available, CC, whatever I am talking, you'll be able to also read it as a subtitle. So the conversation, like you talk, again, I'll be able to see it as a subtitle. So the whole conversation is transcribed there. This is particularly when I have a hearing impairment. I'm not able to hear. Similarly, like I'm not able to see as well as hear, we do have kind of a braille display or braille content. We do have a raised line tactile graphics from 3D printers. We do have alternative format of talking books, EPUB books, so that I can carry it in my mobile device anywhere. So it limits, like, if you have limitations due to cerebral palsy or conditions where I cannot turn over pages, I cannot hold a book, I can very easily carry my devices now in EPUB books. Similarly, like I have a kind of a specific reading difficulty, I can make the lines bigger. I can, even make it as high contrast. I can even take a spelling of the particular thing over a voice by reading it aloud. Everything is possible in an EPUB book. Right now, even NCERT is coming up with more and more EPUB books for this particular reason, to make it all the content accessible. Similarly, if I have kind of a cognitive difficulty, I could very well make templates, which is very, so much available in internet. I can make checklists. I can make picture and text with all the kind of simple emojis, right, to convey something very easily for somebody who has a difficulty in comprehending. So there are so much of alternative formats which is due to technology which is available now. And if you want to conduct an examination, even Google form comes in very handy. You could very easily create a form with multiple choice, with picture and text, right? So much of prompting can be given in Google Forms, so that technology can again help in that. So interacting, particularly for accessibility, it happens with assistive technology for someone. So it can be a device, or it can be a tool or a software, or any kind of adaptations you make in your classroom or in your daily life activity in a home or in office, particularly. I'll make it slow. Jaldi karne nahi aaye abhi. Fine. So we can accomplish any kind of a task or even maintaining my own position. Now things are coming up for persons with spinal injury who have to be seated long hours in their wheelchair. Now there are technology-based, IoT-based pressure mats are now being developed, so that it could understand, like, okay, now the pressure is particularly happening at our own position. Can you please change your position? Right? So healthcare related IoT-based assistive technology is also coming. So it can be a no-tech, which is just an adaptation, or low-tech, which is commonly available in the places where we operate, or mid-tech, which requires a power, or high-tech, which can take an input, process, and give an output. So there are, I just put in the picture for your references, like communication is a low-tech, and any amplifier can be a kind of a mid-tech, and anything like a power wheelchair can be mid-tech. A communicator device, which just by moving my hand, making some gesture, I'm able to communicate because it speaks for me. That's a high-tech. Again, real-time GPS tracker, particularly when I get lost due to dementia or something like that, somebody can track me, like a Ola or Uber. Where am I? This is again a high-tech. And the whole environment, I am in a kind of a bed. I cannot, move out. I cannot reach something, right? The whole environment can be controlled using a Google Home or voice assistant. This is possible. And if I have multiple disabilities like deaf blindness, can I read long text? Can I read storybooks? I can do it with a braille display. Again, a high tech. My mobile, my laptop can connect with a braille display, and I can also type something to my friend, send a message. I can be in a WhatsApp group. This is happening in NIPMED. Now, if you consider, there is one more technology, like it's called the space world, where this is for somebody who want to identify something, right? Particularly, like it can be a textbook, or it can be an office file, or it can be even a shirt. or it can be some utensil, right? There is a, I'm just for want of time, I'm not switching on the audio. So what will happen is I can just take a picture of a particular QR code, okay? A QR code sticker will be pasted on any device. I can take a picture of that particular QR code and then I can make it as a tag now. I can add whatever be the information added, right? This can be utilized in museums. That can be utilized in bus stand kiosks. This can be utilized in banks, everywhere. So that I just have an app, Spaceweld. I just scan a QR code and it gives me information about that particular device. I can put it in any language also. So this is where information access, I don't have to depend on somebody, I don't have to ask anybody. So this is possible with this kind of a simple technology of a QR code which can operate with the app.
You need to have purchased either a booklet of labels or textile labels for making use of personal version of Spaceweld. You then need to enter and submit the 8-digit PIN number that comes along with your label by tapping Activate My Tags button on your mobile. Once the labels are assigned to you, you can then peel the label from the booklet and glue it on any object you want to identify for later. Similarly, you can stitch the textile labels to your clothing. Now you can tap on the Start Scanning button on your home menu and point your back camera at the label and scan it from a distance of 20 to 30 centimeters. When your app identifies the label, it will give you an option to record a description. Simply tap on the record button, wait for the beep sound, and then record the description of the object. By default, the recording duration is set to 5 seconds. You can increase it up to 60 seconds in the settings menu. You can also use write mode option to type the description instead of record. The data gets stored in your phone, and the next time you scan this label using the app, it will play back the recorded description. Medicines, kitchen items, clothes, groceries, cosmetics, and watches. Spaceweld will show a liquid solution you've been waiting for. For more, contact +91 8520.
Now we will believe, because I have not switched on my audio, I did not go for changing my screen share. Technology is integrated within a PowerPoint presentation because the YouTube has a closed caption option, right? Even though you are not able to hear me or the video, but you are able to see the subtitle, right? Going on, what is spoken. So this is how, technology, the same thing can be integrated in your classroom presentations or anywhere also. If you make a video, when you upload into YouTube Studio, enable closed captioning. Automatically everything gets converted like this. This is possible. If you want to do it in languages also, this is possible. You may have to add some transcripts, particularly for each frame. This is also possible now. So that's how, technology facilitates. Technology can be integrated into any of your activity daily. Now, when you consider somebody with difficulties in seeing, I'm now going to go by the barriers, what we were discussing earlier. We do have a kind of, a solution called Lesarilo. It's a Google app. This will help you to find out where you are, where you want to go, the distance between the place where you stand or where you are now, and how to reach out there. It can be for anything. It can be for bank ATMs, it can be hospitals, it can be anything. And this is by default, it works with Google Android's talkback facility so that a person who cannot see can hear it now, information. A person who cannot understand will see the map guiding him, right? So even without cognitive, kind of a cognition to understand where I have to go. I have to just follow the map. This is possible. And there are solutions, particularly text-to-speech solutions, which can make people identify people. So there are 50 to 60 people sitting in that particular conference hall. Then enabling my Envision A, it's a computer vision. I'll be able to say that, okay, so many people sitting in front of me, and so many are gents, so many are female. That is possible. So many are laughing at me. So many are just nodding at me. These are all possible now. Similarly, like tactile graphics, particularly for all those graphic information, because text can be converted into voice, text can be converted into braille. But what will happen if there is a graph, if there is a kind of any picture on the screen? I can always convert that into a 3D printer now, 3D printed graphics using a 3D printer, or I can manually use a 3D doodler and I can draw using a hand and show that this is what is there as a picture. Any textbook drawing can be converted into 3D now. This is possible. I want to have some kind of an information which everybody is seeing and enjoying. I can ask Google Assistant to just describe it for me. It will be describing it. ChatGPT will still more do it in a better job now. This is possible. When I have a difficulties in hearing, somebody calls me, the app like let me hear again or live transcribe, it alerts me through a vibe. Somebody calls from behind, like Shankar, then I'll be alerted. This is possible now. I don't have to hear at all. My mobile vibrates for me. And somebody calls in a louder note, and I have my kind of hard of hearing. Okay, if somebody amplifies, I'll be able to hear. Petrolux is an amplifier device or an app. It'll increase the volume and it'll reach out to me. This is possible. And anybody is going to communicate with me through speech, I have to just hold on my mobile, towards them, and everything will be converted using speech to text. This is possible now. And WhatsApp video calling between two people who are at a distance. This is possible. I believe WhatsApp brought video call for those with hearing impairment so that they can do a sign language kind of a video call. And there are apps, as I told you, Indicate AI, Let's Talk Sign, which convert text to sign, sign to text. This is also possible now. Closed captioning, information in railway stations using the boards. You see all the metros, both audio, text, and everything are combined because of Sugamya Bharat campaign, right? So there are something for accessibility of information for those with hearing impairment. And there are live apps like Signable, wherein I can say that, okay, I want a person to do a sign language interpretation for me. Just log in and sign in there. There will be an interpreter available at the other end who can do a sign language interpretation for you. This is possible. These are all something which have happened out of the startups India here, the assistive technology startups in India. Similarly, like when I have a difficulty in speaking, particularly, not only I'm not able to hear, but I'm not able to speak. What is the condition of cerebral palsy? Devices are available, social media apps are available, which I'll be able to augment my conversation now. I can type and it can convert it to speech. I can put an emoji and convey my feelings now, right? I can answer over stickers to convey I don't have to speak at all now. There are something which is happening, right? I want to type a long sentence and that has to speak. There are apps like, Jello Plus, Kavi PTS, Avas, all that. I'm not able to even move my hand or any of my limbs. Then I just use a simple kind of a watch-like device where I can pre-record certain, kind of a communication sentences. I need to just move my finger front and back. It will operate for me. The communication is based on what gesture I'm going to provide. This is accessibility. If you have children, particularly in a learning environment or at home or anywhere, they also want to learn so much of things. Virtual, augmented, mixed reality, Google AR code, so much are available now to bring the reality to your home now. And even at an early stage, we want to teach them early numeracy or literacy, accessibility has come in the form of games now, in the form of app called Kid Story Builder, wherein you can create stories and along with video, along with audio, and then ask children to go through them. So you can guide them to play games using ICT games and teach them counting, ascending order, descending order. It's kind of an access, which is being created now, accessibility through technology. Similarly, like our own Government of India, along with Amrita Vishwabidam, they have created online labs. So that's simulations, because many times our children with hearing impairment or intellectual disability, they may require extra time than being given in labs, particularly to operate and try by themselves in their own time, in their own pace, even at home or anywhere. Online labs, simulations are providing that opportunity now. Sometimes they may not be able to keep up the schedules. They want to be reminded, they want to be prompted, particularly when they have a difficulty in organizing and memorizing. There are apps like Visual Scheduler, Pictogram Agenda, where you can remind them and they can finish it off and say, ticked off, I completed this one. And whenever there's a requirement for typing, we all know that in mobile or even in your Word and everywhere, like, I'll be demonstrating that if you have time. There are prompts, there are typing prompts are available. Predictions are available. Similarly, like when I have difficulty, particularly in reading, like a kind of a dyslexia condition, I can now convert any book into audio, even from Word. This is possible now. Similarly, like I can even use a kind of a device like keyboard reader or something, which can even convert the book into audio or convert the book into a translated version, English to Tamil, English to Hindi, Hindi to English. Any particular text can be done like that. I do have apps which can magnify for me. I do have apps which can prompt me with some kind of a image as well as an explanation for a particular word, MDAWS reader. And our own applications like MS Word, which we use in daily life, they do have kind of solutions for this. When you just type some kind of a content, it can be very easily read by those with difficulties in reading in different ways. This is possible. And I'll just try to show you something, if I have time. And there are also like, if you have difficulties movement, particularly or positioning something while I operate any kind of an ICT device, I do have different varieties of keyboard for me. I do have different varieties of mouse for me. I do have different varieties of operating a keyboard. So much is available. On our Windows, which we are operating in our laptop, has also features, ease of access. If you go to this particular ease of access menu, you will have a lot of facilities where somebody with difficulties in hearing, vision, or movement, you can accordingly transform your keyboard, you can accordingly transform your mouse. I'm not sure like whether you see my mouse. What color is my mouse cursor? Somebody? Is it a bigger mouse, or I'm not sure like whether Google Meet gives you the right green, correct? And I have made it bigger because in a presentation I can show it. The same thing any special educator or teacher can also do it in a presentation when they do it in a classroom. So that our children with figure ground issues, like when you say that accessibility features, they may not know. But when I point it at accessibility features, they'll be able to sense it more. So this is possible. This is just a simple feature of making your mouse cursor in a different color and size. The same thing can be done in mobile devices also. And mobile devices can be connected to your projector now. Bluetooth projectors are available now. Mobile devices can be connected to a laptop, and from laptop to projector in the classroom, so that mobile devices can be given to any child who cannot come in front and operate a laptop. This is possible. Participation of all children, access to participation is possible in a classroom now. And what we can do in daily life, right? Daily routines. Whatever document you type, okay, it can be for your own project report, it can be your own teaching learning material, or it can be kind of a letter or something you type. Please type it in a font, sans serif font, which is equal in thickness. This will really help children who have reading difficulties like visual impairment or dyslexia. Avoid serif fonts like Times New Roman. Please use fonts, particularly for children who are in the primary level, a font which is available in your own Windows system, Comic Sans MS. This is how all our storybooks are being printed. Because if you see the A, it's asked to be right. At a higher age, like, we can give this kind of a which children will understand. But when we have children, particularly with reading difficulty or dyslexia or learning difficulty, it is better to use a font called Comic Sans MS, simple font. Higher standards are, in higher documents, to be more professional if you want, you can use Calibri, Arial, Helvetica, or Verdana. Please practice this. Then you are practicing accessibility. You have started practicing accessibility. And whatever document you type, do not go below 12 points. You see this whole presentation, I have made it accessible by making it like minimum points is wherever I have used is 24 points. That's the reason even in a small mobile device, you are able to see my text. The reason when it's being displayed in a big screen over there, somebody is able to see from back. Minimum 24 points for a presentation. And when it is going to be a printed text, minimum 12 points. Right? Let us not use underlining and bold together. That will confuse children. They may think that underline is a link. Because now all the kind of links which are happening, right, in the digital world, the link is shown as an underline. So they may not confuse. So better to avoid too much of complexity in defining something or emphasizing something. Either make it bold or either put it in a different color, in color contrast. If you see this color contrast, I've used background as yellow and the letter is dark blue. This is a kind of contrast you should give. Never use orange as a background color and put white as a text. Yellow as a background and put gray as a text. These are all something, will really hinder or become a barrier for children who are reading. And never use all the block capitals. Block capitals can be used only for abbreviations and acronyms. Right? Similarly, when you have a picture or something like that, give a small caption below or give an alternative text like this. I can show you how we will be doing it. So that this will help screen reader users, particularly children with visual impairment, who are using text-to-speech software to go over that picture and read what that particular picture is. In all these pictures are shown, I have put it as a mandatory thing. I'll show you that at the last part of my session. In Word, whenever you start typing, go to review and there'll be one check accessibility. Click on that and then start typing. You will never make a mistake on accessibility. It will prompt you like these are all something which is not accessible. Please make it accessible. You'll be able to make it. Make all your kind of style sheets available, normal, heading and all that. Make use of them. You can modify according to your own requirement of changing the font, changing the font size, anything you can do with this style sheet. And this will be universally applicable, when you make it like, applicable for all future templates. You are making all your future documents also accessible. So when you type a question paper, when you type some kind of a timetable, when you type anything, right, as a Word document and get it printed, please make use of this particular facility of check accessibility. If you save it as a PDF or something like that, then it becomes accessible when you implement this and check accessibility feature. That will guide you. You don't have to go for any class or something like that. This particular check accessibility feature is a kind of artificial intelligence which will go through your whatever you type and sends you like, okay, this has to be done like this. They'll give you prompts. And when you create presentations in similar way, there is same review, check accessibility. You can check whether this particular presentation is accessible or not. I'll try to show you if I provided more time here. and the order, like in which a screen reader or a mobile or a switch access device to process this information can also be set. I'll show you all that. When you create a PDF, save as PDF, don't print as PDF. Go to Word, say save as type PDF, and then click on the options so that it will give you an option called make it accessible, make it compliant to accessibility, user accessibility, U/A. Select that, default it will be selected, and then save as PDF. Right? Let us not print it, then scan it and make it as a PDF. That is not accessible. But still there are devices now, as I told you, like there are apps like Envision, there are apps like Kibo, which can even convert scanned images to text also and read it for them. Screen readers can do it. But still, if we create this kind of a document, taking all your accessibility options, then you are making anything which is coming out of you as born accessible, right? Similarly, in PDF also, if you have an Adobe Acrobat writer or editor, that will also you can create such kind of an accessible document. Why should we do it? Because RPWD mandates accessibility, as Rao sir was emphasizing that. We do have global as well as country-wide standards for that. We do have web content accessibility guidelines, WCAG 2.2, now currently, and we do have mobile accessibility guidelines. And based on that, our own Indian government have also created a guideline for this called Guidelines for Indian Government Websites and all that electronic content, right? This DIGW 3.0, a new version has been released because now most of the applications are being converted from Windows to web application to mobile application now, apps. So even the guidelines are getting very much updated more and more. So the current guideline is GIGW 3.0. I have given my notes here where I have put all the links also here. If you want, you can collect it from our organizing committee. You can take this presentation and very well you can go through these links also. It will really give you more information than this 1 hour presentation. Any kind of a doubt, you can always get back to me. And when you talk about accessibility, we say it as a level A or level AA or level AAA. That's how the standards define. So level A is compulsory. We must satisfy something, right? So that many of the people can access the particular document or a website or an app. Level AA is particularly for government websites or complex applications which handle so many of operations, particularly like IRCTC, right? They go for a level AA, so that many of the requirements which are mentioned in GAGW is done. Content-wise, there may be some kind of a accessibility barrier which somebody has to take a help. So level AAA also talks about content accessibility also. For example, making a sentence or a statement not more than 80 characters. Whenever you type something as a kind of a notes or some kind of a guidance document or anything you do for your children studying in your classroom or probably like colleagues who are working with you, please do not exceed 80 characters. 75 is optimum, 80 characters is maximum. Break the sentence into chunks. That will really improve accessibility. That will improve accessibility when people are using screen readers. People find it difficult to comprehend the grammatical way you have written. So make it maximum 80 characters. A good way is like 75 is the optimal one. So please do make your sentences short sentences, not longer sentences like a paragraph. Without even a kind of if you add more punctuations like comma, that will really help the children or adults to read very much. Please do that. And here we talk about accessibility guidelines. They make it as a principle called POUR: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. What do they mean by perceivable? Somebody as a person, with the difficulties should be able to perceive what is being told in this particular website or a document. This is perceivable. They should be able to understand from your language. They should be able to understand from the elements which are being displayed. oh, this is particular for this. This particular website is for this. This document has been given with a title, right? With the subheadings and headings. Then I could perceive that I'm able to travel along with the document and understand it. Operable, that particular document, can I operate without seeing, without hearing, right? Using a screen reader, or is there a video which I can also operate and see the video? I can see the actions, but if a person speaks, can there be a closed caption so that I can operate and see that what is being said? Understand the language used, or the elements. For example, just put a text heading. Along with that, if you put a small icon or a picture or a photo so that I can relate and learn, relative learning, then it becomes understandable. And robust is that I can operate this and understand this or perceive this even in any kind of a screen device. It can be mobile. The same document can be opened in a mobile. The same document can be opened in a laptop. The same document can be opened in a personal computer or on a big screen. Anywhere, the same document can be opened. So making it responsive for any kind of a screen size is robust. So this is a core principle of accessibility when you develop any kind of a digital content. It can be mixed reality or any kind of a thing, any app, hi-fi app. But if they don't fall into these particular principles of perceivable, operable, understandable, and being robust, then they are not accessible. An example I'm showing you here, I can develop a website or an application. If you put a button like this is not the right contrast. So we say that the text has to be minimum 70% contrast from the background. This is the forms of accessibility. And further, like any orientation, if I switch over, the content has to alter accordingly. You can see this YouTube videos and all that because there is W.V. Raman who heads accessibility. He's a person with total blindness. So that's the reason the product coming out of Google are becoming more and more accessible, right? So YouTube is accessible because of this. Anybody can operate. Similarly, like when you have some kind of a text content, imagine that should be able to zoom it and see. Somebody is not able to understand that particular picture, or they want to see a particular, you say that as a teacher, okay, the forest picture, there is a tiger, can you spot the tiger? The child should be able to magnify and see where the tiger is. That's how your picture should be. You should have a picture in such a way that it's not blurred when I magnify. The picture should be in such a way that it doesn't have so much of elements so that the child finds it difficult to spot out the tiger, right? And ordered content, you have headings, you have subheadings, you have then content below. And whenever, like now we have to give so much of references, right? As I told you, even in notes, I have given references for links. So whenever I have links, how can I name the links? Because everybody will not be able to click, correct? As a screen reader user, I cannot click. I will not be using a mouse at all. So click is for somebody with mouse alone. Somebody who is speaking, I'll say click. It will not operate, right? So the meaningful link should be given. Whenever you have a kind of a reference given, even in your Word document or anywhere, give it as a meaningful link, okay? And NCERT, along with the Department of Education and Government of India, okay, they have come up with a e-content development guidelines for children with disabilities. Particularly it happened during the COVID period when there was so much of surge in e-content development, and Diksha is there, like, PME Vidya was flowing, so much of things were going. So this particular was the need of the hour was developed. Really, I'd like to thank Dr. Jayanti ma'am, because I was also part of it. I could develop something, I can contribute something on this. So kindly go through this particular guidelines for the development of e-content. This really helps you to develop accessible e-content for your classrooms, for your office works, or anywhere, considering everybody. and making the content more accessible. We are given the link also. And if you want to see the some kind of examples like how I can develop, there are guidelines, there are everything available, but I want some examples to be kind of viewed and then follow that. There is UNICEF, which has also developed a kind of a learn my way, a kind of an application to show you like simple to say that like a picture as well as text, and how to make even icons like to restart or continue, giving a color code of green, stop color code of red. This will make children with cognitive impairment very easy, easy to color code, easy to comprehend and understand. So with this, like my presentation is over, but I'd like to, if time permits, how much is the time? Because I'm on a full screen mode, I'm not able to see my timing. 1 second. How much is the time remaining so that I can show you some examples also? All the time is over. Ma'am, Shilpa ma'am. I just want to show them something in Word.
Sir, then we have to close the session because we have already
Crossed. Okay. So I do have some kind of a demonstrations here, like a sample
Sir, I am
content.
interested. I am interested. I continue, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to show you, like now I think you are able to see my screen in a Word document. I have developed a kind of a document which is accessible now, right? As I told you, like I can magnify the screen for you now with Windows key and a plus sign. Okay, the whole screen get magnified so that everybody will have a better view. So I am able to magnify the screen without modifying any of the options, right? I am now taking you to the review menu. In review menu, if you go down, there is check accessibility here. Click on this. Okay. Now I am taking you to the left side where it will say this particular document has issues or not, right? This will really help you because I'm reducing it just by Windows minus, my screen get reduced. Okay. And now because I go to my home, because I have used heading here. If you see this heading tag, it will be marked. Title tag, it will be marked. Right? I use title tag. Now I want to go to heading, means you can see the style sheet I used heading here. So this is very easy. If you define this, you can use it for any other kind of a subheading and everything. And whenever you want to have kind of bulleted points, try to use only the new moon bullet, we call it. Okay, only circular bullets. This will really enhance reading. Don't use star. There are so many options, but don't use them at all. If you want children to understand it very clearly, use this kind of a dotted bullets. And also, like if you have defined numbers, say that there are 3 types of disability, there are 3 types of birds which we are going to see, then make it the 1, 2, 3 bullet. So this will really help children to enhance their reading and understanding. Okay. Similarly, when you create a table, type it in kind of a tab mode and then use it an option called convert to text. Okay. So here there will be an option called convert to text. And also whenever you have a table, okay, then I'll show you something here so that if you right click it, make it auto fit to Windows. Okay, I'll again magnify it. Make it auto fit to Windows so that all your content will be within this particular page. It will not overflow. This will be difficult when you see it in a mobile phone and all that. It will be very difficult when it content overflows. Make it auto fit to Windows. This will enhance accessibility. Okay, and whenever there is a image. Okay. As I told you, this image can be given with a caption like figure 1. What does it say? Or I can go to view all text here and I can type an alt text here. Okay. I can give an alt text here. This explains what it is being given in the image. This will help the screen reader to read. Now, if I want to make this content to be read, I can very well go to view. Okay. This is view, right? When I go to view, this is all available from MS Word 2019 onwards. Okay. I have an option called Immersive Reader. Click on this Immersive Reader. Then I can make it read aloud. This will be read for me. The whole document will be okay. So I can read it aloud. Suppose I am teaching smaller children, they find it very difficult to read, and I want them to read with syllables. Then I can just, okay, sample text content for demonstration. This is possible. Some children, particularly when they have a reading difficulty, they may not want all the content to be shown in one particular place. Right? They may want a single line reading. I can make it single line reading now. Read this, understand, and then go to next line. These are all something which are available in MS Word itself. When you have MS Word 2019 onwards. Right? The same thing when you go to making a presentation like this. Okay. So if you see this, you can go to view, review, and you have translation option also available. You can convert any English to Telugu or English to Hindi. You don't have to type. Okay. And there is a check accessibility, right? This particular thing it gives a warning because this particular video, only when I play and click on CC, it gives you audio. Sorry, text subtitle. But they say that you have to even give, subtitle even when it shows here. So I should have put a subtitle here. I have not done it. So it gives me a warning. So like this, if you go to this page, right, each image, I have made it as an alternative text here. And the way I can arrange, for example, a screen reader user or a user, who comes with a switch or something, an interactive device for severe cerebral palsy conditions, they may be switching from one here to one here like that. Now what will happen here? We may have to make them arranged. So where shall we do the arrange option? Here. So there is a selection pane. If you see this, I am arranging it in particular way, like, one after the other, right? So the title and the group, actually the title should go up, right? It should go up. It should be the first point. So this way you can arrange accordingly the screen reader or the switch will be reading it. So this is all something even in a presentation also you can make it more accessible. And if you see the whole presentation, as I told you, I have used the font, even thickness font. I use color contrast, right? So that any kind of even a mobile with a kind of lower brightness, they want to see that, they'll be able to see this now. So this is what is accessible. Okay. So thank you for all your time. I can probably you can reach out to me this number, or you can collect it from the organizing committee also. You can very well reach out to me for any children, and you want any kind of an accessibility or assistive device kind of a support particularly. So I'd like to thank NIPIT, the director sir, as well as Shilpa ma'am and all the whole organizing committee, Srinivasu sir and everybody for giving me this opportunity. So any questions, I'll be happy to take, but I'm not sure whether you have time for this. you can always reach out to me offline also. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Many questions typed in the Google Meet chat box. So
Okay.
we will take one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Shilpa ma'am, can I ask direct question to sir?
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have a query. I have a student in my school and the parents are not ready to accept the disability of the child. They are not going for the formal assessment. They are not accepting the things that the child is hyperactive and hitting other students. And because of that, other students are complaining to the class teacher as well as to the parents. So whenever we have a parent-teacher meeting, so the parents comes and complain about the child. So at that point, accessibility won't work, and they are not ready to accept the thing. At that point, what we can do with the?
Fine. So this is not an accessibility issue particularly. Okay, as you said, like accessibility will not work. Okay, but this is more a kind of a behavior management issue. Okay, I believe there are special education experts here who can answer this. But from a technology point, what I can answer you is we can identify what the particular child is interested. For attention span, there are two kind of enabling games. Okay, right? For example, if the child is not able to learn in a conventional mode of literacy, particularly if the child is very say in grade 1 or grade 2, you want to learn alphabets, you want to learn some kind of a numeracy, counting and all that, we do have attention span increasing games like ABC Kids, Math Kids and all that, which are available in your Android. Okay, so that the child thinks that he is spending time on games, but he will be learning something. Okay, so that will in turn make the child sit for a longer time. This will really make him spend his time for his own particular improvement and all that, right? This is one way, learning also happens, attention span increases, right? This is possible. And again, another thing what I can also suggest is like when you implement it in the classroom and make this child also participatory by answering all the kind of stuff, right? He will also feel that he is one of the classroom, he is a kind of a hero like in the classroom, so that he will become more responsible there, right? You can find out one or two. There will be some child who can be a kind of a great peer for him. Peer support system really that will cool them here, right? And there are also what we do have in our kind of a classrooms here. What we have is we follow up a technique called Tata's. Okay, so whenever you file that particular child is becoming more and more kind of a seeking, attention seeking, or becoming hyperactive, we make a call called Tata's. What the Tata's does, generally when there is an alert, it strings itself, correct? The child will immediately you have to practice this. The child has to move to a corner or something and shrink himself, because his kind of the inner things which are happening to him may provoke him to do such kind of because of the tantrum, because of some kind of a sensory input, which can be auditory, which can be lighting, which can be even some material which is present there. Okay, you can find children, suppose if the desks are arranged in such a way that they will run on the desk, because that is prompting them to run on the desk, right? They find that there's a kind of a park desk, they're running on it. So such kind of things you can identify in a classroom and probably make it change over. Second thing is spotting some peer who will really help them out, or follow this technique of Tata is, by which he'll be going and swinging somewhere. And again, okay, Tata is come out, then after a few minutes, this tantrum behavior may subsidize and he can again come back. Right? Like the Tata is pushes his head out, right? So this is a kind of a calming technique we follow up in classrooms. Okay. So like this, there may be so much. I'm just trying to try out of my own experience, but special education experts are here. They can suggest something more on this particularly.
Yeah, thank you, Shantaram. I think you tried to answer it your best, and more sort of attitudinal change is required, which will not happen just in a day. And since this session is on accessibility, awareness creation is altogether, has to be addressed separately.
Right.
Due to paucity of time, we'll not be taking up any other questions. The evaluation sheet for second session has been shared in Google Meet link chat box. I would request all the participants who wish to have the CRE points to please click on the link and answer the questions which are asked in the evaluation form. Those who attempt the evaluation questions will only be considered for CRE points as per the RCI norms. Those who do not attempt will not get any CRE points. For the information of the YouTube participants, there is a second session in Hindi version from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And for that session also, there are two separate ways of joining. One through Google Meet link, two through YouTube link. You can log into YouTube, NIPID India YouTube channel, or the Google Meet link has been already emailed to registered participants. So you must have registered and you might have received the email link. So kindly join through Google Meet link if you wish to have the CRE points. Maximum 250 CRE participants will get the points.
So thank you, ma'am. I just went through a few of the questions in the chat. If they can get back to me over my WhatsApp number, I'll be happy to answer them.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And I would request you if you can just answer those questions in the chat box itself. It would be nice because they are attempting the evaluation. If you can, whichever questions you are comfortable, please try to answer, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. We are extremely happy that you have accepted our request.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you
so much for joining. On the occasion of Global Accessibility Awareness Day, NIPID is organizing TLM distribution freely under the ADIP scheme. And today, multiple camps are being organized across the country, wherein persons with intellectual disabilities will be receiving teaching learning materials which will help in home-based education. And training programs are simultaneously organized for the parents how to use these teaching learning materials across the country. And also awareness programs are also organized in multiple locations across the country to create awareness about accessibility for persons with disabilities. I hope all the participants in the Google Meet are filling up the evaluation form. There are many questions in YouTube to give the evaluation link. Dear YouTube participants, the evaluation link is given only for people who are attending through Google Meet. This has been informed prior also. If you wish to have CRE points, please connect through the afternoon session through Google Meet.
will be given.
So we will continue with our next program, that is teaching learning material distribution. Around 150 beneficiaries, identified beneficiaries are receiving TLM kits today here at NIPID. A token distribution will be done on the stage by director sir and the education coordinator. We are distributing these teaching learning material kits for all our
Hello, ma'am.
and to organize. So Google Meet participants, if you wish to log out the program on the web.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Hello. Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Shilpa ma'am, after session for the Hindi language, right?
जाएगा इसको हम तो से भी तोड़ना जाएगा प्रीति मैम इसको हमारे से भी तोड़ना जाएगा
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Hello.
P. Surya Teja, Kit 4. P. Surya Teja. Kit 4. Hemender, Kit 3. P. Surya Teja, Kit 4. D. Pavan, D. Pavan, D. Pavan, Kit 3. P. Vaishnavi, P. Vaishnavi.
Students, very one student from Pillar MIT.
P. Vaishnavi, Kit 3.
Come fast.
P. Vaishnavi, Kit 3. P. Devika, P. Devika. P. Devika. Kit 4.
Very good.
P. Devika, Kit 4. P. Devika, Kit 4. M. Ramya. M. Ramya.
Michael, I love my superpower. But had I known about the Duck's beautiful girl change back then,
Next, M. Ramcharan.
and we will assure that we will take care of mental health in all aspects. There is a talk on building legal capacity and discuss about how we can work within a
M.
legal system,
Ramya, Kit 4.
work further. Shalija Ketali, Additional Professor, IPH, Hyderabad. Madam has, shared in a very simple and very specific manner how to do assessment, how to do the management in a simple manner. Dr. Shilpa, faculty in effect, she presented about disability solution program, which all teachers very valuable and very different program which we are conducting in effect.
M. Ramcharan.
Every year we are training more than 500 candidates. But we conducted so many short-term courses.
M. Ramcharan, Kit 4.
Activities. So she had shared. And 47 paper has been presented.
మిగతా బెనిఫిషరీస్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో మిగతా వాళ్ళంతా కూడా మినిమం బ్లాక్ క్యాంటీన్ పక్కన ఉంటుందండి, అక్కడ అసెంబ్లీ అవ్వండి. ఓకే, సో ఎవరైతే జనగాం నుంచి వచ్చారో లోకల్ బెనిఫిషరీస్ అంతా కూడా లంచ్ చేసుకొని మీరు మిలియన్ బ్లాక్ వచ్చేస్తే అక్కడ మిగతా టిప్స్ అనేది డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ. లంచ్ ఈజ్ రెడీ అట్ క్యాంటీన్ అండి. క్యాంటీన్ లోకి వెళ్ళి లంచ్ చేసుకోండి, ఆల్ ద పేరెంట్స్ టీఎల్ఎఫ్ బెనిఫిషరీస్. ఓకే, లంచ్ చేసుకొని మీరు
Right.